Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Grant Geiger, and I am the CEO and founder of EIR Healthcare. And what we really focus on is the design and build of healthcare spaces. And what I wanted to present to you and be able to show you today is innovations in modular construction, both holistically and within the whole industry of real estate, and then also specifically within healthcare. We, earlier this year, did a study with KPMG to investigate and take a look at modular both in the United States and globally. And I had a conversation earlier today with someone here, actually, and before we even talked, the first question that they asked me was, well, hold a minute, how do you define modular? What does that mean? So what I wanted to do with my time in the beginning was at least establish a baseline, so everyone was working with the same set of information. What you see on the right side, obviously, is iconic. Everybody hopefully is aware of the Eiffel Tower, built 1898. Left-hand side is a hotel, Disney World Contemporary Resort, 1971 it was built. Just interactive show of hands. Who thinks the building on the right was built using prefabrication or modular construction? Anyone? A few? Okay. How about the Eiffel Tower? Any prefabrication? 1898. One person, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the answer is both, right? In 1898, we've obviously come a long way, but part of that structure, the way that the steel was put together was using prefabrication put together in pieces. For 1971, for the Contemporary Resort, the hotel rooms were pre-assembled and built off-site and then slid into the shell and core of that building. So there's actually quite a long history and track record of modular construction in the real estate space. And the other one that I always love to talk about as well is with Sears and Roebuck, right? Craftsman houses, both during World War I and II, and then afterwards, you could order your house in a catalog and it would be delivered to your site. And now we have situations where, for example, in 2015, world's tallest prefab structure built in Brooklyn. I don't know if you guys saw, but Marriott just announced that they will be building the world's largest modular hotel in New York City. It's going to be 26 stories, completely built modular and completely built off-site. And so what we're seeing, and when I'm working with our clients, is we're seeing that there's an interest and a focus in what does this mean to me? What does this mean to my facilities? And what can I do for this in healthcare? So when we sat down with KPMG earlier this year, we ended up breaking down modular construction into several different categories. And so what you see is based on the complexity of what you're trying to accomplish and the scale that you're trying to accomplish, there is a, per se, modular solution or prefabrication solution that could work for what you're trying to do. And so if it's something as simple as a panelized wall system, going all the way through to complete structures, which I'll show is sort of where we see the future going, there's a conversation there to be had. Now, in healthcare, we've seen that it's starting to become more and more prevalent. So I like to show this side for folks as well, because if you're trying to think of modular construction in a different way, I usually ask, okay, well, what level of completion in your buildings are you looking for off-site? Everything starting from 10% through to 90%, there is something for you to consider, be it prefabricated components, as I said earlier, panels. And if you're looking on the bottom here, as we often do with our clients, the other question is, what are we trying to accomplish? Because the key thing in the modular space is now it's not necessarily about just cost, it's not necessarily about speed, but is it about structural flexibility? Is it about, I think we've talked a lot about agility here today, a lot about adaptability. There's something there that can be considered. Is it about scheduling? And so based on your goals, there is an opportunity there to consider where does modular fit into that space. If we take a look at healthcare specifically, and I really like to talk about the first one, I think it's a great story. If you're not familiar with it, 2017, New York City Health and Hospitals built this clinic. The actual building was entirely built off-site in less than 32 I think it was less than 32 weeks, and assembled together all there on site in 6 days. So, the opportunity there for them and for the manufacturer was that it reduced their cost, and it also increased and improved their delivery times and reduced material waste. Again, very specific goals that they were looking to accomplish within the healthcare space. If you take a look at, and I'm going to skip this one and jump to St. John's, they did an interim hospital. If your goal is about looking for something temporary or looking for a solution to deliver care, their goal was faster delivery times, and they ended up breaking the record for the fastest built medical facility in the United States. So, if there's one takeaway for you guys today to focus on, or what I was hoping to deliver, is that there is a way for you, and no pun intended, but to think outside of the box in terms of how there is a place where modular construction can fit into what you're trying to deliver and build for your facilities. We obviously, a little bit of a shameless plug, but we're excited about what we did, building modular patient rooms. So, there is lots of things to consider when you're looking for innovation and changes in constructability for your facilities. So looking ahead, and this kind of ties into what some of the IT folks spoke about earlier, but we know that the delivery model is changing. When I talk with our clients, I see that, and we heard it today, we heard it in the panel discussion, value-based care and population health is decentralizing healthcare to a certain point. And if speed to market is a concern, there is a key component here with being able to deliver something faster. And we see a blending, and I think we just saw it in the previous presentation, with retail clinics, home visits, and the question is, what does that future of healthcare look like? What is it going to be? And the next piece that I think is really key to that ecosystem and building that is also what we heard this morning around IoT. There's now more personal information on your phone than there is in your house. 10 years ago, or about 12 years ago, I think, if you take a look at IoT connectivity, there was 0 products that were connected in IoT today. And in the future, we heard a little bit about this, but we're going to be approaching 16, 17 billion. And agility comes back to mind. Adaptability in your buildings and your facilities. I know we heard earlier not to think of technology, and I think that's a good point, because what I would actually point out is that technology has just become common and superfluous in what we're doing. It's there everywhere that we go, and the question is, how do you build and how do you design, as we heard earlier, that environment to make technology native and make it adaptable to what you have. So I have a short video. I wanted to just, before I play it, talk a little bit about a concept that we're seeing and what we think is coming in the future of building, what we're calling Building 4.0. So the idea here, and I showed you the example earlier in New York on a smaller scale of what was a clinic with New York City Health and Hospitals. But with Building 4.0, we believe that modular construction is moving into the space where the entire building it can be built off-site. Corridor elements, the rooms, and this could be for not just an outpatient clinic, but in some cases even far greater than that for 100 or 200 bed facility. So I'm just going to show you the short video and then talk a little bit more about what we're doing there. see the balconies, you see all this. This is not obviously actually for a hospital. This is for assisted living, long-term care in an urban setting. But what we actually developed and designed with this is that the entire building can be done off-site. The product, as you see it at the end, looks just like traditional construction. And so we've been working, as I mentioned earlier, KPMG, but others. And what we see in the industry is that there is a move in this space to continue to develop essentially what we think is real estate as a product, and to be able to put components, or what we say is elements, together to be able to deliver a full package and solution. So I think we're starting to see the future of that today in the examples I showed to you in New York. And in the future, and as we go forward, we will start to see that grow and continue to expand into new spaces within healthcare. So I appreciate you guys taking a few minutes just to hear a little bit about innovation in modular construction, and happy to answer any questions afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you, Grant.